There is a monster who stalks his prey, mostly on Halloween night. His hunting ground is a bridge on Colchester Road in Northern Virginia. There he waits in the dark for the kids to approach, and as always, he uses the shadows to hide in. When they're close enough, he attacks, and for just a moment his victims see orbs of light, a telltale sign that it's too late to run. When the sun rises, his prey are found hanging from the bridge, skinned and dead, much like the bunnies he's notorious for consuming. Have you heard of this monster? The Bunnyman? Well, if not, buckle up, Buttercup, it's time for a tale. Welcome to the Society of Curious Creatures. My name is Chantel, and I'm delighted you found us. We meet here at least once a week to discuss a spooky story. Now, today's terrible tale is about the Bunnyman. Before we begin, though, I have a few disclaimers to add. Now, first I want to say that I only tell one version of an urban legend, so it may not be the one you've heard. Like the telephone game, most stories evolve with each new teller. We all like to put our own little stank on it. And so this means that there are typically several versions of the same story. So if you know a different version of this urban legend, instead of going, oh my God, that's not the right one, that's not what I heard, don't do that. Just leave it in the comment box down below because we can look at it and learn about it. Also, I have no intention of trying to debunk this story. An urban legend, much like your auntie's delicious macaroni and cheese, needs to have some mystery. And yes, I did say auntie, I'm from Georgia, okay? So let's leave the debunking to the historians and dive right in. Now, this urban legend originated in Northern Virginia back in 1904, in Clifton, Virginia, to be specific. You see, the people in this God-fearing town had a problem, and that problem was an asylum located a little too close for comfort. Now, initially, they tried to ignore it. It was already there. What else can you do? But that didn't work for long. You see, asylums back then was a dirty word, and that dirty word kept dirty secrets, okay? The residents were afraid of the kind of people that frequented those places, and they demanded something be done. Now, they must have made quite a ruckus because the asylum did offer a compromise. They agreed to round up their more dangerous patients and drop them off at Lorton Prison, a town over. And that way the residents could sleep easy knowing that the dangerous ones were pretty far away and they were somebody else's problem. Everyone seemed okay with this, and the plan was put into action to get these guys out of there. So one day, they collected prisoners and they put them on a bus. Yes, there were buses back in the early 1900s. I looked that up. One day, they collect all the patients and they put them on a bus. That bus is then sent out into the night to deliver the occupants to what we can only assume is another fresh hell, because asylums weren't regulated and prisons damn sure weren't regulated. So they were out of the pan into the fire. You know what I mean? But the bus didn't make it. For some unknown reason, the bus crashed. They say unknown, but obviously. The bus crashes, and the patients hit the ground running. Like roaches that scatter at the flick of a light switch, they dispersed into a heavily wooded area, and they just kept running, okay? Now, the guards knew that this was bad, okay? This was literally the only fear that the residents had about the asylum. It's literally their worst nightmare. So they have to find them. So the guards, they get out, and they search until they found everyone. Well, everyone except a patient named Douglas J. Griffin. Now, he was gone without a trace. And the guards, at this point, the guards' first priority was to get the rest of the patients over to the prison. They already messed up on this one. So they want to go ahead and get the rest of these patients over to the prison. They're going to come back with help to see if they can find him on their own. So reluctantly, they loaded the bus back up and swiftly made their way to the prison. Now, they did come back, and they did search for Douglas. And we don't know if they found anything. It doesn't say it in their legend. We can only assume they didn't because there was no way to track him. And also, we don't know what Douglas Griffin was in the asylum for, but we can assume it wasn't good if he was on that bus. So as they search for him, and obviously the first day goes by, they can't find him. The next day goes by, they can't find them. So eventually they have to alert the residents. They're so pissed. This is the one thing. But they kind of hope that he would die in the woods, but he didn't. And the way they figured this out was, obviously the only change to this area was this missing mental health patient, like this asylum patient. And there was a big change as far as in the forest itself. You see, they they kind of figure out how he was surviving in the woods. Douglas was not a berry or nuts kind of guy. He wasn't a gatherer. That wasn't his spirit animal. No, he liked blood, and he left a reminder of that in different parts of town. Now, periodically, the residents would find the mutilated bodies of bunnies discarded in his wake. And from the way they were talking, he wasn't cooking them. No, this douchebag sadist was eating them alive. Now, this goes on for a while, but on Halloween night, Douglas's modus operandi changes. That night, a group of kids celebrating Halloween went out into the night to collect, I don't know, like root vegetables or fruit. What the hell did they give the kids in the early 1900s? I mean, I thought that we were just fresh off of being afraid of witches. I didn't even know they celebrated Halloween, but I guess it doesn't matter, okay? So the kids walked to this bridge on Colchester Road, probably do some dumb kid shit. You know how it is. Throw some rocks, try to scare somebody. It's neither here nor there. They just went there to have fun. And they see these bright lights, and the strength of the light captures their eyes, and they stand there as if caught in the trance, following the bright, iridescent lights of these orbs that they're seeing. And the next day, the residents, missing their children who did not come home, start looking for the kids, and they find them hanging from the bridge, mutilated in skin, much like the bunnies that Douglas Griffin loved so much. Now, they never did find Douglas Griffin, okay? The rest of his story just kind of fades off into darkness. Most people believe he just died in the woods. Some people hope that the local residents tracked him down and gave him what he deserved. Either way, the locals still tell their kids to stay away from the bridge, especially on Halloween night. Because the Bunnyman still lurks in the shadows, and he is always, always hungry for blood. That's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. That's what I found so far for the Bunnyman. Now, like I said, I don't debunk like these urban legends that I research, but I did have a couple questions. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of questions as I was researching it. Like, for instance, like the biggest one was, how do we know that the victims see before they die? Because they did. How will we know? Those are the questions that I had. Did someone escape during this situation and they had like some insider knowledge, or is them seeing the white lights a reference to the white light people talk about walking into after death? But like early 1900s, they weren't talking about death because you don't want to be a witch. So, I mean, there were a couple of questions at the end of this, but I did find the story kind of basically a warning, like most urban legends, is to kind of keep your kids in at night. Not even just Halloween night, maybe mostly on Halloween night, but like not even just then. To keep your kids close by you so you can keep them safe. So people like Douglas Griffin, like lurk in the woods, can't get them. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. This was the Bunnyman story. The next story I have is of the Dark Watchers. I hope to do that one this weekend, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be back with you later. Again, my name is Chantel.